a good ball played in for Tony Morley. Oh, he missed it! It is! Peru! Villa in the lead!
Hello, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to the Villa Forever podcast. I am your host, Chad Williams. Please subscribe, make sure to give me a follow, and give this video a thumbs up. Let's spread awareness of Duchenne muscular dystrophy. On today's interview episode, I'm joined by my special guest, Luis Miguel Echegaray, who is a journalist for Espn. He's a storyteller, Aston Villa fan. He's a writer, host, and analyst. Also, he's released his debut book recently, which is called Messi, Mania, which is about arguably the greatest player that has ever lived. And out of all the book interviews that I've done, this is the most excited I've been out of all of them. And also, Louis is a big Aston Villa fan, got a big love for Villa. Great to have on the show, Louis. How are you?
Chad, it's absolutely wonderful to be here. I'm so happy and excited, just like you. Thank you so much for having me. I think it's amazing that you continue this show, and I love everything that you're doing regarding the support for DMD, of course. Honestly, I feel very excited and grateful to be part of this show, Chad. And of course, before anything else, up the Villa.
Yeah, up the Villa. I really appreciate that. Yeah, thank you very much. So also, I'll say as well, before we get started, congratulations on the new book.
Thank you so much.
And you put a lot of hard work into that book. A lot has gone into it.
I have. I've put a lot of hard work into it. Thank you so much for the kind words. The book, as you mentioned, is called Messi Mania. And as you mentioned, and I agree, arguably is about the greatest male player the game has ever seen, Lionel Andres Messi Cucitini. And the book is about his story and his journey, but it's also about his arrival when he arrived in the summer of 2023 to Miami, and how the United States were impacted by Messi as well. So yeah, very excited about the book.
Because since the arrival of Messi, I think in America, I think soccer has been put more on the map. I mean, since the days of David Beckham, and also the player like Messi now, he's done that, I think.
I agree completely. And obviously, there's a lot of context to be before, Messi even arrived. Major League Soccer continues to be a growing league. Most people don't realize that, in 2024, the attendance of fans going to MLS matches was the biggest anywhere in the world after the Premier League, which says a lot about how big Major League Soccer is. So already football, soccer in the United States continues to grow. You mentioned David Beckham. Pele, of course, in the 70s came as part of the New York Cosmos. So there's a lot of history of amazing players coming to the United States, but Messi, of course, just being an absolute explosion of excitement when he arrived in 2023. So we have to wait and see if he will indeed win MLS Cup with Inter Miami this year.
Also, it must be difficult, also in America, because you got the main sport there is also American football. You got the likes of baseball. And the good thing is, it needs to be part of the culture. Because also, like many other countries, their everyday life. That's what America needs to do, I think.
Absolutely correct. I could talk about this forever, and I do mention it a little bit in the book, but you're spot on. The U.S. is a very unique country when it comes to football, when it comes to soccer. And most people, obviously, outside of the country don't realize just how big it is. It's actually, from a participation perspective, Chad, the most popular sport in the country. Many people play it. The country's getting younger. It's also more diverse. Sons and daughters of immigrants come to the U.S., so they know the sport. Now, the NFL, American football, will remain king for a very long time, but make no mistake about it, because of MLS, because of USL, because of participation, the women's game, of course, NWSL, football, soccer continues to grow in America. Gianni Infantino said that in 3 to 5 years, it will be the #1 sport in America. I don't quite agree with that. I think the NFL remains king, but the point remains, football, soccer in the United States continues to grow. And obviously, the Men's World Cup next year will be testament to that.
Does it? Because also you have the FIFA Club World Cup, which we just had that at the moment. Then next year you got also the World Cup's going up. So again, it'll keep increasing the popularity.
100%. The growth of the game continues. The Club World Cup obviously came with a lot of controversy, just overuse of players, and how certain stadiums were going to be equipped for this tournament. But you cannot deny one thing, that more than 2 million people attended the Club World Cup. That's a remarkable number. So there's a lot to be said about just the interest of the game in the United States and North America, of course, because Mexico and Canada will play co-hosts with the US next year.
So again, to my first question then. So for you, you're from Peru. So what was it like for you growing up in Peru?
Wow, what a question to begin with, Chad. What was it like to grow up in Peru? Well, listen, I grew up in the 80s and early 90s in Peru. So you have to imagine now, if anybody watched, Narcos, for example, and how Colombia was dealing with, the social and political climate under, of course, what was going on with Pablo Escobar and all the issues there. Peru obviously was not that, but it was not different. We had our own issues, specifically with something called the Shining Path, Sendero Luminoso, which are basically, they were the Peruvian equivalent of the IRA. There was a lot of social and political unrest in Peru. So I had a great childhood. My parents and my family, obviously growing up in Lima, but it was obviously a developing country. It continues to be so. So it was tricky. So at 11, 12 years old, we immigrated to England. I'm a real life Paddington Bear, Chad, from Peru to England when I was a kid.
I always think of Paddington Bear. That's what I always think of.
That's pretty much what every Brit thinks of when they think of Peru, Paddington Bear. And it's great. The character obviously brought notoriety to Peruvians. I will tell you that growing up, though, nobody in Peru ever heard of Paddington Bear. We had to wait until England to realize that was the case. But yes, I'm a real live one. And I like marmalade sandwiches as well, so it's a win.
Well, I've never been to Peru, but what's there to do there? What can you see there? What's it like?
Peru is Peru, Chad, is a beautiful country. It is just enriched with so much beauty, both because of the land, but also because of the people and the food. I'll tell you right now, Chad, that if you've never had it, Peruvian food is the best food in the world. I will hear zero arguments about it. In fact, the #1 restaurant in the world right now is Peruvian. Peruvian food is very, very good. The country is split into 3, Chad. You have the coast, where I grew up in Lima. Then you have the Andes, where you can go to Cusco and see Machu Picchu, of course, the Inca Empire. And then you have the jungle, the Amazon, towns like Iquitos, where you can really go and check out the Amazon River and see the amazing rainforests, etc. So we have such a diverse range of land in Peru, unlike anywhere else. And like I said, our food is incredible. And obviously, just like every South American nation, we're very passionate about our football. But we have struggled more than any other national team. But, you know, it still doesn't, lose the fact that Peruvians are extremely passionate about the beautiful game.
Actually, Claudio Pizarro. I remember you had some talented players, I think, over the years. I remember him.
Yeah, Claudio Pizarriña, who obviously came to Jose Mourinho's Chelsea. Don't forget Norberto Solano, the first Peruvian that played in the Premier League when he moved to Newcastle, and eventually the Villa, of course, as well. We've actually, Chad, here's a fun one for you, a fun fact for you. Next season in the Premier League, Burnley are back, right? We have a Peruvian in Burnley. His name is Oliver Son. He was born and raised in Denmark, but from his grandmother, he represents the Peruvian national team. His aunt is actually Helena Christensen, the very famous supermodel from the 90s. So Oliver Son will be, for the first time in a long time, a Peruvian national team representative in the Premier League.
And in Peru, is the humidity very high?
Yes, it depends where you are. Yeah, it depends where you are. But when you go to the jungle, as I said, when you go to the rainforest, it can be very humid. But Lima is humid-ish. Remember, it's the Pacific Ocean, so it's not as bad. But it's not as humid as, of course, if you go to Colombia and you go to Barranquilla or places like that, which are closer above the equator. So, but Peru can get humid, but not as humid as you would think.
So how did you become an Aston Villa fan?
This is a story for the ages, Chad. I'll try and make it short. But when I first moved to England, as I mentioned, it was a very difficult time for me because I, just like Paddington, I was culturally sort of scared. It was difficult for me to acclimate, to go from Peru to England, two completely different cultures, different countries. I spoke English, but it was still not great. So it was difficult for me to make friends. So in the playground, in school, I had a tough first 2 years, until I met my friend. His name was Mark. And he said to me, come on, we're going to play five-a-side and you're going to be with me. We're going to be the Villa. And I had no idea what he meant until he took me to his house later that day. I opened the room, Chad, and there in his bedroom on the walls was Paul McGrath and Dean Saunders and, the Villa lineup. This was obviously the beginning of the Premier League year, so early 90s, right? And there I saw the claret and blue all over his wall, Dalian Atkinson. And just like that, Chad, I fell in love with Villa. His family would take me to Villa Park whenever we could. And Villa became my very first connector to England, and it remained ever since. And that's why I'm a Villa fan all the way from 12 years old, because I was just in love with this club, and they became the bridge, the introduction to this new land I called home, which was England. And it never changed from there, my friend. And that's why I'm a Villa fan.
The same Aston Villa. It chooses you.
Exactly. 100%. I really think that my story really is an emblem of that. Mark came to me. He's the one that invited me to his bedroom. He's the one that showed me the posters on the wall. And in many sense, as you said it exactly right, Villa in that moment, Chad, chose me. And that's why I'm a Villa fan. It's incredible.
It's incredible as well, I think, that the global interest Aston Villa is getting, which I find incredible, really.
Yeah. I mean, if you mean You mean nowadays, right? Since obviously the ownership, the ownership
Since
of
the Emirates and all that, the manager Emery, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot there, Chad. I agree. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, well, number one, with Nasser Sawiris and Wes Edens being our owners, the objective has always been, even before Unai Emery's arrival, has always been to re-globalize Aston Villa, remake them one of the best clubs, not just in the Premier League, but in Europe. But the other component, Chad, I think is, the players that we have as well. People don't realize, like, there is just so much passionate interest behind them. Dibu Martinez, of course, he is an absolute god in Argentina. So many fans in Argentina have become Aston Villa fans simply because of Emiliano Martinez. So, like, that's another reason why Villa continues to grow. So that's why it's really important to continue to strengthen the squad and making sure that we keep the very best that we can.
That's why the American tour, Aston Villa, the pre-season tour they just did, that's going to help massively. With also the revenue as well, I think.
Correct. The revenue is very important, especially in the day and age of PSR, which, in my opinion, is important, but remains incredibly too strict, I think, for any club that isn't in the quote unquote big six. That's why revenue, the Adidas sponsorship, like you said, the tours to America, these things are very important in order to continue to bring in money, because we don't have the global value that Manchester United has, regardless of what happens on the pitch. We just don't. So Villa needs to continue, as you said, to do these tours and to be economically and business-like savvy in order to survive and really prosper in the Premier League, which is, of course, the most popular and the richest league in the world.
So we'll talk about South American football. So how do you compare South American football to the British football culture?
Yeah, that's a good question, Chad. I think, to not generalize too much, South American football has a deep connection with national identity, more so than British culture.
Yep.
I think the argument could be said that, many Villa fans, obviously from Aston, from Birmingham, even local, or anybody in England really, would tell you that they would rather see Villa win the league than England win the World Cup. I mean, many people would probably choose that route. I think in South America, it's a little bit different. I think there is such a pride of being Argentinian, Peruvian, Colombian, Ecuadorian, that doesn't leave you. So whenever you go to a stadium, you feel that national pride. Having said that, the love that they have for their clubs is unbelievable. I mean, look at the Club World Cup. That would not have been nowhere near as exciting had South American teams not been part of it, especially the Brazilian sides. I mean, look what Palmeiras, fans did, or even in Argentina, the Boca and River Plate fans showed. So there is this deep connection of national identity and pride, and a real historical and cultural love for the club that you support. And then, Chad, I think the real big part of this is that because we are developing nations, right? We're not Europe, there's that sort of underdog, working class mentality that every single South American has. So, and it's weird because, like, let's say, for example, I'm in Spain right now talking to you. But if I saw another South American here, we would share a sort of commonality, regardless whether they were Peruvian or not, because we're so proud of our South American identity. And that South American football culture is passionate. It's very proud. And obviously, it has a history of, so much drama and flair and beauty. It's a festival of football in many ways that comes both with good and bad connotations. So British football culture, as I know very well as well, is obviously just as proud, but it's a little different, just because of the ties they have to the social and national identity, in difference to the club or country.
And I think in South America, there's some big footballing nations. The likes of
Massive.
Brazil, Argentina. You got Uruguay. You got like Chile. And also, even they've had some talented players. They've produced some very talented players. I mean, you go far back as Pele. You got Maradona. Then also, you got like Messi. You got like Neymar as well.
Absolutely. The list can continue there, Chad. You can talk about Pibe Valderrama, of course, and Zamorano as well. You mentioned Claudio Pizarro, Nene Cubillas, who we would call, to us, Brazilians had Pele, but we had Cubillas. And then you look at the list of all the talent that plays already in the Premier League in Europe as well. Like South America is so rich. It's not a coincidence, Chad, why there's so much investment for scouts to just go to South America and try and see what talent exists. I mean, we literally just sold one last season in Jonhader Duran, the Colombian, who obviously came with a lot of drama, but his talents were absolutely undeniable. City Football Group have investment in Bolivia as well. There's just so much richness and talent, both in the past, and the present and the future, that you can't ignore just how great it is. I mean, Brazil remains the record-breaking World Cup winning team, with 5. Argentina are the defending champions. I think Colombia continue to grow as well. Ecuador are going to be an absolute force to be reckoned with in the World Cup. Like, this is a really rich continent. It just doesn't have sometimes the infrastructure or even the discipline that Europe has, so I really hope that this South American sort of, majestic sort of show of class continues to develop. That's why I'm excited for what will happen in 2026 with the World Cup, Chad, because South American nations tend to do well when the World Cup is not in Europe. So, it'll be interesting to see who wins it. Spain remain the favorites to me, but I think Argentina right next to them as well. And Brazil, maybe now with Carlo Ancelotti. We'll have to wait and see.
And what I like about South American players is they have real flair. They're sort of like a joy to watch.
There is a joy and beauty, especially, when you think of all the years past, right? I mean, Ronaldinho, is one of them, of course. One of my favorite players ever is Juan Román Riquelme, who I think was the absolute architect and visionary in the midfield. And you could go on and on. Even goalkeepers, right? Higuita from Colombia and Paraguay's Chilevert as well, who was a free kick master. Just so much talent, Chad. It's great to see, and hopefully it will continue. And let's hope we get some of these South Americans to continue to come to Villa as well. Juan Pablo Angel, of course, is one of my heroes as well. So there's a lot of South American talent ready to be
He was
taken.
a great goal scorer and goal was.
Yeah, amazing player. One of my favorite players for Villa. Yeah.
John Duran not long ago. Before, obviously, he left now, wasn't he? But before,
his talents were undeniable, regardless of what he did off the pitch. I mean, he scored the best goal Villa scored last season, and obviously, I was there when we beat Bayern Munich in the Champions League, and he scored that goal. He's given us some great memories.
To talk about your journalism work, then. So how did you get into journalism?
Well, what's funny, Chad, is that, like everything else in my life, everything really comes out of like just doing a complete 180, because I was actually an actor for a long time, 15 years. That's why I moved to America from England after university. I was a stage and TV actor. It was about 2015, so really 10 years ago, when I decided to completely 180 my life and leave acting, and football has always been a part of me, and storytelling has always been a part of me, and I love the idea of journalism, but I knew nothing about it. So I went back to school. I got my master's in journalism in 2015 in New York City. And right there from the get-go, Chad, I got a job with The Guardian and Vice. And then eventually that took me to, other places like Telemundo, which is the Spanish-speaking network here. And then Sports Illustrated, which is, the biggest, most historic sports magazine in America. And then I went to CBS Sports, and then I landed at ESPN. So it's been a decade now of my work here in sports journalism, which is actually not as long as many other people that are in my career. But I'd like to think that I've done a lot in those 10 years.
I think it's a great company to work for. ESPN Goals, it's a very big name in America, because I remember when it was actually in this country, then he moved over to America then, I think.
Yeah, ESPN are a massive name, and they're global. And also, half of my work is in Spanish, Chad, right? So ESPN Deportes, the Spanish-speaking networks, they're massive. And if we're talking about South America, in South America, ESPN, especially in Brazil and Argentina, are a very, very big deal. We have the rights there to the Premier League and other leagues as well. So, it has a lot of global notoriety, and I'm very humble and lucky to say that I work for them, and, being the main voice of football for SportsCenter, which is the American version of Sky Sports News. I'm that person. So I'm very humbled and proud to say that as well. So, yeah.
So when did you start working for ESPN?
2022. Yeah, 2022, the summer of 2022, just in time before the World Cup in Qatar started. So it's been coming on to 3 years, so 3 very fulfilling years, of course, which includes, of course, a one-on-one with Messi.
And you've had a very interesting life. And going from acting all the way to journalism, it's a very bit of a difference.
Oh, yeah. You can definitely say that, my friend. It's been kind of a roller coaster, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. You've done really well.
Thank you, my friend. Means a lot.
So I'm going to talk about your new book then. So congratulations again about the new book. It's called Messi, Mania, Aston Villa fans. So I actually listened to this on audio, and I enjoyed every minute of it. So I think it's not just about Messi, but also I think it's good for football fans. And also it shows aspiring footballers that they can achieve anything. The sky's the limit.
The sky is the limit, my friend. Thank you so much for listening to it. That's great. And that's a great reminder that it's not just a book that you can buy, but I narrated it as well. And you can hear it on audiobook. It's on Spotify. It's on Audible. It's on many places. And yeah, that's really why I wrote the book, to be honest with you, Chad, because we obviously know how great Messi's career has been. And obviously we talk about him being arguably the greatest player ever, World Cup champion, Champions League champion, all the accolades, most trophies out of any, football player in the history of the game. He continues to deliver. But the other story that I don't think people really talk about enough is that he really began as an underdog, right? Many people didn't think he was big enough to play. He needed, growth hormone injections to help him. His father was trying desperately to find a club to get him to play. Barcelona in the last minute came knocking, but he constantly continued to be overlooked because he was so small until, of course, he entered the pitch. But aside from that, he was a South American just like me who immigrated from South America to Europe at a very early age. That can be very overwhelming. So, he's not Cristiano Ronaldo. He's not an extrovert. He's an introvert. I've talked to him one-on-one. He's a very quiet, very deep thinking person, not your average type of superstar. So there's all these things about him, characteristics about Messi that I think are really important for young people to know, because like you said, look, none of us are going to be Messi. Okay. I think that's pretty obvious, but I think that what his story represents is one that can, like you said, help you, definitely if you're a kid, whether you're a boy or a girl or whatever, to be the best that you can be, and no matter what exactly, and no matter what challenge you have, be yourself.
Does it?
Exactly.
And you can achieve anything,
That's it. I mean, look at what you're doing with your show, Chad. This is exactly the same thing. Like, regardless of what comes your way in your life, nothing stops you from doing things that you want to do. And I think that that's the overall essence of Messi Mania. When you fall down, there's no reason why you can't get up again. And that can be figuratively, that can be poetically, that can be whatever. But that's the point of the story. It's like, always try and fight your hardest and be the best that you can be.
And with Lionel Messi, at the end of the day, he's a human being, for all of us.
Exactly.
Let's not forget that.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
And I learned some new things in the book, which I didn't realise about Messi. You said about the hormone injections.
Yeah.
That was because of his size. But then later on in his career, he used that to his advantage later on.
100%. Yeah, like, the growth hormone injections also at that time, especially in Argentina, that was going through economical issues, the injections were not cheap. So, his parents really had to work hard to get them. But, it wasn't so he could be 6'5". It was just so he could grow to the very highest possibility that he could. He's only 5'7", 5'8". So like, it's not, no, he's not even 5'8". Sorry, he's only 5'6", 5'7". So, when he was a kid, he just wanted to grow the very most that he could do. But he used that size to his advantage. I mean, look at what Messi does from when he was 17 or whatever to now.
Yeah.
His change of direction is unbelievable. His center of gravity is almost, unchallengeable. Like, so, he used certain things to his advantage. And I think that's another lesson that we can learn. Use your weakness as a strength.
You look about Messi as well. He sees the game differently. It's like, his awareness as well, which I think is amazing. He picks out, and also he can make something happen out of nowhere.
Yeah. He is a magician, and he has given us many amazing memories. So it's, we all have to come to the sad realization that, he will be 39 by the time the World Cup comes around. So, we know that the end is near, so we have to enjoy every moment.
It makes everyone feel old.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it.
And also, the other thing I saw that you mentioned in the book as well, which I want to listen to, was about the napkin story. That when he saw the contract, him and his dad, they had to quickly draft up a contract on a napkin.
Yeah.
Which went on auction, that napkin did as well.
That's right. Yeah. Do you remember how much for? I can't remember. I wrote it in the book. I can't remember how much it got sold for, but it was a lot of money. Unbelievable.
So let's talk about some Messi moments. So there have been some great moments of Messi over the years. So for you, what is your favourite Lionel Messi moment? What is your most favourite goal he scored?
Oh, wow. My favorite Messi moment, I guess, there's so many, but obviously I think him winning the World Cup is just, the cherry on top, right? The fact that, he led his country finally to a World Cup win, after losing to Saudi Arabia in the opening game. And then, over and over, he continued to lead the team to, beating France in what I think is the greatest World Cup final I've ever seen. It was
brilliant.
It was an unbelievable final. But in terms of goals, I think I have two, and they're both from Copa del Rey, the Spanish Cup.
Yeah.
One was obviously the 2007 one where he took on the entire team of Getafe. It was very Diego Maradona-esque when he did it against England. But I think this one was extra special because, Xavi gives him the ball literally on the halfway line. And, Messi just decides to take on the entire team and actually finish with his right foot, I believe. I love that goal. But then the other one is in 2015 in the Copa del Rey final against Athletic Bilbao, where he gets the ball literally on the sideline, on the touchline on the right wing, and he takes on everybody until he scores a goal inside the box, which is just unbelievable. I mean, you mentioned change of the direction, making something out of nothing. That to me was a Messi magical goal. And then I guess the only other special mention would be that free kick he scored against Liverpool in the Champions League. I mean, that was an unbelievable goal. Yeah. Unbelievable.
I've got quite a few. I've got about, I remember the hat tricks that he scored.
Yeah.
But also, I do remember as well him scoring in the Champions League final against Man United.
Oh, yeah, tremendous.
I remember that night. I mean, Messi completely outplayed Barcelona and completely tore them apart.
Yeah.
I always remember that one, I think.
What about the other one, Chad? When actually Messi himself called it his most special goal, which was obviously the header against Manchester United in the Champions League final in Rome. Yeah. Messi calls that his most special, most favorite goal.
I've enjoyed the goals that he scored in El Clasico as well.
Oh, of course.
Against Real Madrid.
And that's a great story there, Chad, because we obviously know how much he's done in Clásicos against Real Madrid, but it wasn't until Pep Guardiola, when he joined Barcelona as manager, and he decided to put Messi in this sort of false nine kind of role, kind of a free role, and allowed him to do anything he wanted. And in that opening Clásico, he absolutely tore them apart. In fact, his time with Pep Guardiola and Barcelona is considered to be his greatest season ever, because he stayed healthy the longest minutes, scored some of the most ridiculous goals, and of course scored the first ever treble, won the first ever treble in Spanish history when Barcelona won the Spanish Cup, the league, and the Champions League as well. But there's so many amazing memories.
When I played the game FIFA, I always used to choose Barcelona. I just give Messi the ball all the
time. Not me, Chad. I only choose Villa. Villa.
Up the Villa. Yeah.
Up the Villa.
So I was going to ask you as well. So I think we touched on it a little bit. But what was it like to meet Lionel Messi in person, and was it difficult to put the book together?
Meeting Messi face to face was the greatest moment of my professional career. Obviously, he doesn't do many interviews, so it was very humbling to me that because obviously ESPN and ESPN Argentina, we managed to get the interview, and it was just us and Apple and Miami Herald as the only interviews, the first interviews he did, because I interviewed him on the eve of the League's Cup final when Inter Miami played Nashville, and he only did 3 interviews, and I was one of them, and so I was very honored, to do that. So it was the most professionally the greatest moment of my career. And obviously, when you enter the room, you're kind of in an out of body experience, because you're literally staring at Lionel Messi, but
Didn't
you're a
saw you?
professional. Yeah, yeah, you're a professional. You have to keep yourself calm and do the job. But it was amazing. And in terms of the book, there was a lot of preparation for it. But I'll be honest with you, Chad. Like in terms of me writing it, it only took me 3 weeks because I was very focused on how I wanted to write it, and I was very prepared. Obviously, after I wrote it, my editor was amazing in helping me craft how it would look at the end. But in terms of writing it, it only took me 3 weeks. Obviously, there were post notes after that, post edits, but it didn't take me that long because, I love his career and his journey, and I knew how I wanted to craft the story.
Because in the book as well, a lot of managers and players are also mentioned in the book. So did you have to speak to those people?
I spoke to a few, but a lot of the other quotes came out from past sources and past articles. So I didn't have to, I think I have obviously, let's see, I have David Beckham in there. That was part of his public interview that he did when Messi arrived. I have some quotes from Rio Ferdinand, but that wasn't attributed to me. That's when he, was interviewed shortly after when Manchester United, no, he was asked about his experiences playing against Messi, of course, when Rio played for Manchester United and stuff. So some quotes were part of my work, but others were attributed to other articles and stuff. So I didn't have to, speak to everybody that's in the book.
So we'll talk about Messi as well. So he's a genuine guy. He actually does a lot for a lot of charities, including the foundation he's got. As well, he actually look about the foundation. And he helps out a lot of soccer schools. And the other one was about COVID-19. He helped a lot during the pandemic as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to share at least a special segment on the fact that he does a lot of charity work. I mean, a lot of that is never really talked about, and he doesn't really talk about it himself a lot. But as you said, he's done a lot of charity work, especially during COVID-19, where he made sure that a lot of people at least were helped financially, economically during a time when clubs and teams and players weren't obviously making money and stuff. So, and even things like, even things when he was leaving Barcelona, like he was more than willing to essentially play for free, so there's a lot of real good work that Messi has done over the years. And a lot of it has been through his foundation, as you said.
And his family is very important to him. His family values.
Yeah. Very important. Very important. I mean, his wife, Antonella Rocuso, they've known each other since they were kids. I mean, the first question I asked him when he moved to Miami was, I've never seen you happier. And it was because his family were happy. So he doesn't do anything without first making sure his wife and his 3 boys are happy. But, he's represented by his father, and his sister manages all the other extra marketing stuff, like his brothers as well. Like everything is kept within the family. He's been very loyal to that, and of course, a lot as well to Rosario, which is where he grew up as well. So Newell's Old Boys, being also a part of that family that he likes to take care of and make sure that they're protected.
Yeah. Also, I was always happy a few years ago that he actually, when Argentina won the World Cup, because also like he achieved everything in his career. And he's done everything now, goals. He's won the World Cup. That's something which he wanted to do, and he achieved it.
He's done it, my friend. He's done it. I think, when you see him wear that Inter Miami shirt, he's still got that competitive, spark. Even after winning the World Cup, obviously he wants to win with Inter Miami. But after winning the World Cup, after winning Copa America, after winning the Champions League, after winning the league, after winning more trophies than anybody else has ever done. He could easily just be like, I'm done. But I think we'll see him at the World Cup, one more World Cup next year. And I think after that, I think that will be it. But I think we will see him next year at the World Cup.
It'll be very emotional for him and his family.
Yeah, definitely. Especially if Argentina play in Miami, right? So.
Yeah. Because have they announced what cities don't have in the World Cup?
Yes, there's a few cities that are going to be part of it. The majority of the cities, the majority of the matches, or the majority of the host cities are in the U.S. Obviously, Mexico has the likes of Mexico City and Guadalajara. Canada has Toronto, of course, and Vancouver as well, I believe. But the U.S. has a lot, including Miami, Boston, New York / New Jersey. Yeah, which is where the final is going to be, of course. Los Angeles, as well as Santa Clara, which is like the San Francisco area. Philadelphia is going to be one. Dallas as well. So Kansas City, which is a real mecca of football here in the United States. So there's a lot of cities that are going to be. So yeah, so I believe now you can start checking out where you want to go. Obviously, the draw is going to be in December, and reportedly Las Vegas will be the place where you'll see the draw of the World Cup, and that's when we'll know where everybody will play. But I think the US, Mexico, and Canada will obviously begin in friendly territories to open the World Cup.
So I'll come to my final question then. So talking of cities, what is it like living in New York?
Well, you remember when I told you what it was like living in Lima, Peru? Living in New York is not that much more different. I've been there now 20 years, right? Obviously, between those 20 years, I've come back to the UK, I've gone to Peru and stuff, but New York has been my home essentially for a very long time. And, my wife and I live there, and, New York is obviously, multicultural, diverse. It's crazy, it's hectic, but it has, so much richness about it. I love the fact that I can leave my home and speak Spanish to the guy that works in the shop in the corner. I love the fact that I can get a slice of pizza 1 a.m. and stuff like that. But it doesn't come without its, like any big city, right? It doesn't come without its obstacles and stuff. It's when it's hot in New York, it's really hot and gross. You mentioned about the humidity in Peru and New York. It's awful. You don't want to be. I don't recommend anybody to go to New York during July or August. In the winter, it can be tough as well. But it's New York City. It's it's relentless. And you got to keep up with that pace. Otherwise, it will leave you behind. But I love it. I've been there for a very long time, and it's a crazy city for sure.
Actually, I've been to New York.
Oh yeah, when was it?
Is it back in 2011?
Okay.
And one of the places that I've been to, the most favorite place I've been to.
There you go. It's changed a little bit since 2011, but those were the great days in 2011. A great time in New York City for sure.
Yeah, there's always be a place that's really close to my heart. Because I actually got an uncle that actually lives in Brooklyn.
Oh yeah.
As well, and also my friend Aaron, who's a regular on the podcast. He actually is from New York, and he's actually on my podcast.
Oh, amazing! So you have a lot of New York collections.
Yes, I've got a big connection to that city.
Fantastic.
I did all the sightseeing. And it's like the city that never sleeps.
Never. Sometimes that's not great, but it never sleeps. Well, you have another friend from New York here, my friend. If you ever come to New York City, we'll make sure to have a good time.
Yeah, and also, I stayed in Times Square.
Oh, now, Times Square, see it once, and then that's it. Because any New Yorker will tell you, Chad, get out of Times Square.
Well, just not saying though, mate, I've really enjoyed this interview today. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you. Of course, Chad. Thank you so much. I'm upset. I thought you were going to ask me about Villa's upcoming season.
Oh, yeah, actually, you're going all you there. Actually, yeah, okay. I do you think they're going to do, actually? You can't ask me that, then you can ask me that.
I mean, the only thing I'll tell you, Chad, is that obviously many Villa fans are feeling a little anxious just because you're seeing Liverpool spend so much, United and Chelsea and Arsenal and all these clubs spending millions and millions. But obviously because of PSR, we are a club that have to be responsible whether we like it or not. And it's not, it's as I said at the beginning, I think it's unfair in many ways to those clubs that are outside of the big six. But it's the reality. But I will say, though, that Liverpool won the Premier League last season with a brand new manager and without spending a penny. Only Federico Chiesa was the only player that came to Liverpool last year. That's it. They didn't spend anything. So there is something to be said about Unai Emery, the team that he has, building on that and strengthening and making sure that Villa can be the very best. I'm not saying we're winning the Premier League, but what I'm saying is there's a note to take from what Liverpool did last year, which is sometimes the best thing to do is just build what you already have in-house. Obviously, I want a few more pieces. It would be nice. I think, as I said from the very beginning in all my reports, more departures need to happen in order for that to happen. But I think that overall, like Unai Emery said, the overall core is there. I think Bouba Kamara's new contract was absolutely crucial. I think Morgan Rogers. Exactly. I think Morgan Rogers, and making sure he gets his new deal is big as well, and which is hopefully going to happen very soon. So I think there's something to be said about making sure that what we have already stays there. I still think we'll probably have hopefully one or two more players coming in, maybe a few more departures, but there is a beauty about not doing anything and just building on what you already have. And like I've said from day one, Chad Williams, the most important person in this entire thing is Unai Emery. As long as he's there and he's manager, I have full trust. I mean, we were this close of Champions League football last season, this close, and I believe that we can do it again. Yeah, and I think we'll win a trophy this year as well.
Do we need to make the most of Unai Emery? Well, he's not the Aston Villa, you're not going to be there forever.
100%. We need to make the most of it and cherish the fact that we have a manager like Unai Emery. And I do believe that he will continue to strengthen the club. And I do believe that this is the season where Aston Villa win a trophy.
Well, I think we're going to finish strongly. I think the new season. That's what I think.
I agree.
I think as well, the Europa League. I think we could actually win the Europa League. It's not right to get the Champions League as well.
Exactly. And let's not forget, Unai Emery and the Europa League go together like peas and carrots. He absolutely loves that competition. So, you should feel very good. So I'm feeling very good about it. And I think that, yes, it's tough because we're not bringing in all these players that all the other clubs are doing. But I think there's something to be said about building more cohesion with what you already have. And I think that hopefully, Unai Emery will just continue to build and build and build. And, let's hope we get 3 points in the opening weekend against Newcastle United.
What we're going to do, we got a fully back Emery.
100%. Totally agree.
I've got a season ticket I have.
You've got what, Chad? Oh, yeah? Are you going on the opening weekend?
I'll be there, the Newcastle,
Yeah? Well, please make sure that you spread the love that I give to you to give to Villa Park on that opening weekend.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, thank you, David. That was a brilliant interview.
Thanks so much, Chad. I really appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing. And I say it again. I think many people should be inspired by this show and continue to do the good work and support DMD and everything that needs support as well. So thanks so much for having me, my friend.
Also, make sure to get Messi Mania.
Well done, Chad. Acting like my agent. Get Messi Mania, 100%.
Well, thank you everyone for watching. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please remember to make sure to subscribe. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to give this podcast a share. And also leave us a good review. If you're listening right now, make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much, Chad. Thank you so much. Up to Villa.
Yeah, to get to Robert's episode with Villa forever. Villa.
Thank you, Chad.